In the mid-20th century, Arab countries and Israel were fighting over Palestine. At that time, a young boy named Muammar Gaddafi was growing up in the hot desert of Libya. He dreamed of freeing his country from Western influence and King Idris. No one knew that this boy would soon become one of the world's biggest dictators. Gaddafi overthrew the king and became the leader of Libya. As soon as he came to power, he kicked Britain and America out of the country. Because of his hard work, Libya developed very fast. Libya was once poor, but soon its per capita income became higher than Britain and Italy. But power changed Gaddafi. He became obsessed with luxury and dictatorship. He became cruel to his own people. Anyone who spoke against him was killed. Slowly, the people of Libya began to hate him. They protested on the streets to get rid of him. Western countries also hated him. U.S. President Ronald Reagan even called him the mad dog of the Middle East. Gaddafi went from being a revolutionary leader to everyone's enemy. His end was so terrible that people still shudder when they think about it. But to understand his end, we must understand his life from the beginning. How did an ordinary boy become the ruler of Libya? Why did a man who ruled for over 40 years have to beg his own people for his life in the end? Let's find out. Muammar Gaddafi was born in 1942 in a desert area of Libya called Qasr Abu Hadi. At that time, Libya was ruled by Italy. Gaddafi's family belonged to the Gaddafi tribe. They used to herd goats and camels. Even though they were very poor, Gaddafi's father made sure he got an education. Some of Gaddafi's teachers were from Egypt. They often told students stories of the Egyptian revolution. Gaddafi grew up listening to these stories, and they deeply influenced his mind. The Egyptian president, Gamal Abdel Nasser, was a hero for all Arab countries. Gaddafi also started following him as his idol. Gaddafi started his political journey during his school days. In those days, he read a book called The Philosophy of the Revolution, written by Nasser. This book explained how to plan a military coup. It became Gaddafi's favorite book. Gaddafi started movements against the government while still at school. Because of this, the government kicked his family out of the area in 1961 for damaging government properties. Gaddafi then went to Misrata to finish his studies. There, he read biographies of great leaders like Abraham Lincoln and Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. This taught him how to run a government. His teachers told him that an army is necessary to bring a revolution. Gaddafi wanted power, so he decided to use the army as his weapon. He joined the military academy in Benghazi in 1963. The British Army used to train the Libyan military. Gaddafi did not like the British. He believed they were selfish imperialists. He was so against them that he refused to learn English. He was even rude to British officers. Because of this, he was failed in his final exam. Still, he did not stop his political work. In 1964, he started a secret movement called the Free Officers with his fellow cadets. These officers met secretly to plan how to remove Western influence from Arab countries. Gaddafi made many strong connections during this time. In August 1965, Gaddafi finished his training and became a communications officer. In April 1966, he was sent to the United Kingdom for advanced training. He spent more than 9 months there. While living in the UK, Gaddafi saw how developed it was compared to Libya. He returned home with a dream to make Libya just as developed. He also started working secretly with a group that wanted to overthrow King Idris. By then, King Idris was very unpopular. People wanted to end the monarchy. In 1959, crude oil was discovered in Libya. This brought a lot of money into the country. The economy improved, but normal people did not get any benefits. Most of the profit went to King Idris and his close friends. Poor people were still facing hunger and unemployment. The oil industry became full of corruption, and people grew very angry. The Arab defeat in the Six-Day War against Israel made things worse. People believed King Idris supported America, which supported Israel. Huge protests started in Tripoli and Benghazi. Workers even shut down oil terminals. By 1969, rumors of a coup were everywhere. The American CIA tried to protect the king, but they did not notice Gaddafi. Two brothers, the Shalhi brothers, were also trying to take power. Their father had been killed by the king's men, and they wanted revenge. One brother became the army chief of staff, and the other became a royal advisor. In 1969, King Idris went to Turkey and Greece for medical treatment. He realized he had lost control of Libya. He announced his resignation from Greece on September 2, 1969. His nephew was supposed to become the next king on September 2. Gaddafi saw this as his perfect chance. Before the Shalhi brothers could act, Gaddafi's group launched Operation Jerusalem on September 1, 1969. Within 2 hours, they took control of Libya. Gaddafi did this so secretly that the king's bodyguards and the American army outside Tripoli had no idea. For 7 days, the public did not know who was behind the coup. Finally, Gaddafi gave his first speech. The people of Libya welcomed the change and accepted him as their leader. Gaddafi ended the monarchy and the old constitution. He created the Libyan Arab Republic. He became the chairman of the new ruling body. Even though he was the most powerful leader, he kept the rank of colonel instead of general. He said he didn't need a high rank to serve the people, but in reality, all power was in his hands. He made Tripoli the new capital city. Since he came from a poor family, he gave cabinet positions to middle-class people. This made him very popular. In 1969, he started the Green Revolution to help farming. Soon, Libyan farmers started making profits. He also wanted to stop corruption in the oil sector. In October 1969, he took over all foreign oil companies and raised oil prices. Other countries followed his move. Within a few years, Libya's per capita income reached $11,000. Libya developed faster than Italy and Great Britain. Because of this, OPEC members signed the Tripoli Agreement in April 1971. This helped both buyers and sellers. Gaddafi also did many good things for the citizens. He doubled the minimum wage. He ordered equal pay for women. He banned marriage for girls under 16. He tried to unite Arab nations. He signed the Tripoli Charter with Egypt and Sudan to form the Arab Revolutionary Front. Gaddafi was becoming highly popular, but his enemies did not like this. Many people tried to remove him from power. Gaddafi had them all killed. Some were hanged publicly. He also exiled Italian citizens and Jewish people from Libya. This made lakhs of people turn against him. Gaddafi then imposed Sharia law and took control of everything in the country. Britain and America had military bases in Libya. Gaddafi forced them to leave. This made Britain and America his bitter enemies. In September 1971, Gaddafi suddenly resigned to surprise everyone. But within a month, he took power back. He focused heavily on agriculture. Since 95% of Libya is a desert, water was a big problem. Gaddafi built the Great Man-Made River Project. It's the world's largest irrigation project, using thousands of kilometers of pipes to bring water to desert cities. This brought massive domestic growth. Libya was also suffering from malaria and tuberculosis. Gaddafi invested heavily in healthcare. He gave free brick houses to the homeless. He opened schools and universities and made education completely free. However, Gaddafi also made many controversial decisions. In 1972, he banned labor strikes and shut down newspapers. He banned alcohol, nightclubs, and church prayers. Traditional Libyan clothes became mandatory, and Arabic became the only official language. He also started interfering in other countries. He hated Israel because it had defeated Arab nations multiple times. He began funding terrorist groups to fight Israel. In 1972, he created a training center in Libya. He funded a group called Black September. This group killed 11 Israeli Olympic athletes at the Munich Olympics in 1972. When the terrorists were killed, Gaddafi brought their bodies to Libya and gave them a hero's funeral. This ruined his image worldwide. In June 1973, he proposed the Third International Theory. He rejected both American capitalism and Soviet communism. He wrote the Green Book, which explained his views on how to rule the world. Reading this book was mandatory for everyone in Libya. He wanted to create a single Islamic world. He rejected traditional Islamic interpretations and the Hadith. Because of this, Muslim scholars became his enemies. Anyone who rejected his book was whipped. In 1975, he took control of all foreign trade, which angered the business class. Public revolts started, and bombs were detonated near army buildings. Gaddafi got angry and arrested 200 senior army officers. He made military service mandatory for youth. When 2 students protested, they were hanged publicly in 1977. Gaddafi began killing his opponents publicly to spread fear. His close associates started
plotting against him. An officer named Omar Mehishi tried to overthrow him, but Gaddafi found out. Mehishi fled to Tunisia, and his friends were hanged. Gaddafi then shut down the Revolutionary Command Council in 1977. By 1980, Libya entered a major economic crisis. The country was in heavy debt and unemployment rose. Instead of fixing his country, Gaddafi kept interfering abroad. 9 African nations cut ties with Libya. Gaddafi was accused of hiring killers to murder his critics in America and Europe. He was even accused of attacking U.S. President Reagan. America put sanctions on Libya, and the CIA started watching him. America stopped buying Libyan oil and told U.S. companies to leave the country, but Gaddafi did not care. On April 5, 1986, Gaddafi's agents bombed a nightclub in West Berlin. 2 American soldiers died and 229 people were injured. In response, America launched Operation El Dorado Canyon on April 15, 1986. They bombed military bases in Tripoli and Benghazi. Gaddafi's house was hit. He survived, but his 2 sons were injured, and his adopted daughter, Hannah, was killed. After this, Gaddafi became extremely paranoid about his security. Whenever he traveled abroad, he used his own bed sheets. He hired nurses from Ukraine and checked everything thoroughly. He loved attention. He wore strange, colorful clothes on foreign trips. He always traveled with 30 female bodyguards known as the Amazonian Guards. He claimed he supported women's rights, but in reality he abused and mistreated these women behind closed doors. Gaddafi continued funding terror groups in Chad, Palestine, Lebanon, and Ireland. He sent his army into Chad's civil war. France, which supported the Chad government, launched Operation Epervier against Libya. The Libyan army was defeated and forced out of Chad in 1987. On December 21, 1988, Pan Am Flight 138 was blown up over Lockerbie, Scotland. All 259 people on board and 11 people on the ground died. Most victims were Americans. Investigators found that Libya was behind it. President Reagan called Gaddafi the mad dog of the Middle East. A year later, on September 19, 1989, UTA Flight 772 was also blown up, killing 170 people. France blamed Gaddafi for this. Gaddafi became a global villain. He refused to hand over the suspects to Britain. In 1992, the UN passed Resolution 748 and put heavy economic sanctions on Libya. The economy collapsed. In October 1993, the CIA tried another coup using local groups, but it failed. During the 1990s, Gaddafi killed many journalists and political rivals abroad. In 1993, his agents kidnapped former Foreign Minister Mansour Rashid El-Kikia from a hotel in Egypt. He was killed, and his body was hidden in a freezer for 19 years. It was only found in 2012, after Gaddafi died. In 1996, prisoners in a Tripoli jail tried to escape. The guards caught them. They opened fire on the prisoners for 2 hours, killing more than 1,200 people. Their bodies were buried inside the jail, and families were never informed. Gaddafi had a complex personality. He had helped Nelson Mandela fight apartheid in South Africa. In 1997, Mandela gave him the Order of Good Hope. In 1999, Gaddafi helped create the African Union, but in 2003 he publicly fought with Prince Abdullah of Saudi Arabia. Weeks later, the prince survived an assassination attempt and Gaddafi was blamed. Realizing he was surrounded by enemies, Gaddafi tried to fix his relations with the West. He condemned the 9/11 attacks. He handed over the Lockerbie bombing suspects and paid $2.7 billion to the victims' families. In 2006, America removed Libya from the state sponsor of terrorism list, but Gaddafi could not stay quiet. In 2008, he accused America of planning to kill him like Saddam Hussein. In the same year, he declared himself the King of Kings of Africa. People in Libya were tired of his behavior. Protests became a daily occurrence. By 2011, the Arab Spring began. People across the Middle East rose up against dictators. In February 2011, Libyans took to the streets. The protests quickly turned into a civil war. Gaddafi refused to step down. He called the protesters drug addicts and al-Qaeda terrorists. He ordered the army to bomb them. The army fired on protesters in Benghazi, killing hundreds. Many Libyan leaders resigned in anger and joined the rebels. Protesters took control of several major cities. America and Western countries saw this as a chance to settle old scores. On February 26, 2011, the UN declared a no-fly zone over Libya. To unite the rebels, the National Transitional Council was formed on February 27th. It included businessmen, tribal leaders, and former Gaddafi officers. The NTC got support from NATO. On March 31, 2011, NATO forces started airstrikes on Libyan military bases. Gaddafi's son and 3 grandsons were killed in these attacks. By July and August, the conflict became a full-scale civil war. The International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for Gaddafi, his son Saif al-Islam, and his brother-in-law. Armed with NATO support, the rebels captured the western part of the country. Gaddafi fled the capital city. He hid for 2 months. In October 2011, the rebel forces attacked his hometown, Sirte. On October 20th, a large convoy tried to escape Sirte. French aircraft bombed the convoy. Gaddafi's son, Mutassim, and the military chief were killed. Gaddafi was injured and hid inside a dirty sewer pipe to save his life. The man who once called his enemies rats was now hiding like one. The rebel forces found him and dragged him out. Gaddafi was covered in blood and begged for his life, but the protesters showed no mercy. They beat him brutally and shot him multiple times. He died on the spot. A bystander recorded the entire incident on a phone camera. The whole world saw the video. The man who ruled Libya with an iron fist for 42 years was killed by his own people.